Back on Sports Biography today, the life story of the legendary football coach, athletic director, University of Arkansas, and also sportscaster. And it's Frank Broyles. Coach, you became a sportscaster with ABC, working with the legendary Keith Jackson. How did you get that job?
Well, about 2 years before the job was offered to me, ABC had a new idea. They were going to have a different coach every Saturday doing the color. The coach had an off week, and I had 2 off weeks, counting the Thanksgiving, and so I got to do 2 games with Keith Jackson. And each week there was a different coach on there, and so they kind of liked what I was doing. And Keith, we were both from Georgia, couldn't tell that, and. So the next year, the year after that, they decided to hire, and so when I quit coaching, they hired me.
And you were there 77 to 85?
Yeah, I was there, what was it, 9 years, I think.
Is there any particular game that you can recall as a commentator working the ABC Game of the Week with Keith?
There was so many because we did the Game of the Week, and then we did the Sugar Bowl every year. So there was some great games. I mean, some of the Notre Dame games. I remember Penn State, and who were they playing? Doggone it.
Alabama.
Alabama in the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah.
I had a lot of good games. I couldn't just pick one because I enjoyed every one of them. And the more exciting the game, the better. I mean, keeping it right down to the wire.
I believe that was 79 or 80,
Yeah.
somewhere in that area. As you
I did, I think, 8 Sugar Bowls or 9.
8 or 9.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts about Keith Jackson?
Keith Jackson was a winner. He had no ego whatsoever. He didn't try to hog the limelight and try to show off himself. He downplayed his own role to highlight the players and the coaches.
Now, what did it mean personally to the Broyles family to see you on TV?
Well, I think they enjoyed it. They were proud of it. They worried about every one of them. Every time I'd go on with my Georgia accent, I kept saying, I don't know how they can put me on. I remember when our producer, Chuck Howard, I told him one time during the off season, I'm working hard to try to clear up my accent. He said, heavens no, that's the most attractive thing about you is your Georgia accent. I said, you're kidding. He said, no, everybody talks about it. Keep talking the way you're doing. So I forgot about it.
Oh, and it was great. That telecast was great because Keith and you would go back and forth, and Keith every now and then say that's a gully washer and things like that.
Yeah, Keith. I remember one time he kind of put me in my place. I got talking, and instead of we had a kind of agreement. If I tried to explain something, I'd do it very quickly and concise, not string it out. So I got talking. I couldn't stop. I couldn't get it explained. And finally, when I finished, he said, Frank, would my mother have understood that? And I said, no. And he said, well, don't ever do it again, right over there.
Oh, man.
And we all laughed.
And I bet it was great. Was it a big surprise when Keith came to Fayetteville and honored you a few years ago?
It was. He's a wonderful person. We see each other about twice a year at some event and enjoy visiting and playing golf when we can. He loves golf, and he's one of the best golfers in the sportscasters' history. I'll tell you, he could shoot par golf.
Coach, it was announced here recently in the last month or two that ABC did a survey, and in that survey, in college football, the all-time broadcast team on television was Keith Jackson and Frank Broyles.
I didn't know that.
Congratulations on
Well,
that,
thank
Coach.
you. I didn't know that. Well, Keith Jackson made me look good because he knew how to handle a situation, and he coached me all during the time we were. He would tell after the game if we did something that he thought we ought to change. He would talk about it. We had a great relationship, and he gave me a great opportunity, and I'm very grateful for it.
Why did you give it up in '85?
Well, it came to be where the school here at Arkansas had some leadership that said, it wasn't right for me to be gone. I either had to give up being AD or give up being the sports editor, telecaster. I said, I'm not giving up the AD, so I resigned.
Right.
That's the reason I resigned.
Right.
They told me I couldn't do both anymore.
Yeah, well, that I tell you what, the 8 years or 9 years you had on ABC is really legendary on the games that y'all covered and the type of camaraderie that you and Keith had.
I thought it was great for the state of Arkansas for me to be on there. He always mentioned about my career as a football coach at Arkansas, and I was still the AD and all of that. So we got Arkansas some good notoriety while we were doing the telecast.
Well, this year, Coach, in 2011, you are being inducted in another Hall of Fame, this time as a sportscaster on the Arkansas Sportscaster Sports Writers Hall of Fame.
I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of that because I love my work with the news people and the experience I got and the fellowship and all that was developed there. And I'm flattered, honored, and I'm looking forward to it. Most of the people that heard me are gone because of age and so forth, but it's an honor that anyone would treasure and put it right at the top of their list.
And the news media, newspaper, radio, television stations voted on this, and that's a great tribute to you.
It is. I'm very grateful for that, for their support. Very grateful.
Let's talk about, speaking of sportscasting right now, let's talk about some people that you was associated with over the years. First of all, Orville Henry. What were your thoughts on Orville?
Orville Henry was a genius. He was critical to the support of the Razorback fan base. He built the Razorback fan base by writing something in the Gazette about the Razorbacks every day. And he built a fan base. He is one of the leading principals that developed a statewide base for the Razorbacks and gave us national publicity. He was a great friend and he was a tremendous asset to the program.
Your thoughts on Bob Chain?
Well, Bob Chain was a genius in his role as our sports information director. He had a way of getting the information to the people on time and giving them something that they would be interested in covering, and he did a great job for us for a long period of time.
I know that you were good friends with the legendary Bud Campbell. Y'all worked together a lot on television.
Well, his death was way too soon. He died young while we were still working together. He had a way of making you look good. He was an unselfish telecaster, and he didn't do much of the talking. He knew how to lead you and let you tell the story. And we had a great relationship. We were close friends, and someone that I admired very much.
And then the first sportscaster ever to be inducted in the Arkansas Sportscaster and Sports Writer Hall of Fame, Paul Eels.
Well, Paul took Bud's place and did the same thing. He was a giver. He was one that described the game with enthusiasm and made a difference in every telecast. People, it wasn't the Razorbacks without Paul Eels on there. When they heard his voice, they knew it was a Razorback game.
Coach, we only have time for 2 or 3 more questions and comments, but basically, what has it meant to you of all these legacies as a sportscaster, as a coach, as a player, as an athletic director? What has this meant to Frank Broyles?
I've had a charmed life. I'm doing a book, and the name of the book is going to be The Charmed Life of a Razorback. I have had a charmed life being with the Razorback program for this period of time.
Let's talk about your family real quick. You have a few family members.
Yes, I have 6 children, and I think 13, 14 grandchildren. I can't keep. And then about how many great-grandchildren? I think 5 or 6 great-grandchildren and 1 great-grandchild.
Wow.
So we are growing, and I'm, I hate to tell my age, but I think I'm 86. And
86.
I'll be 87 in December. And I'm healthy as I can be. I have no aches and pains. I have no ailments that I know of. And I feel like I did 20 years ago.
A lot of people would flip that around and think you're 68 instead of 86.
I feel 68, I guarantee you that.
Coach, final thought here. How would you like to be remembered?
I'd like to be remembered for helping the Razorback program gain national prestige. I wanted to be one of the people that, and there's many of us that participated in helping the Razorbacks have a national program in all sports. And that's something that, as I said earlier, I think in the show, in my travels, in the years that I wasn't athletic director, but it announced I was going to be, people want to have an all sports program to be able to cheer for the Razorbacks a year round. And we've been able to provide that for them.
Well, Coach, for me, it's been an honor and a privilege to speak with probably the top ambassador of all times here at the University of Arkansas and also the state of Arkansas.
Well, that's quite an honor and a privilege, but it's been a charm. I'm going to repeat, I'm doing a book. The title of it is going to be The Charmed Life of a Razorback. I've had a charmed life.
Coach, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
That is Coach Frank Broyles, the legendary former coach, athletic director, also sportscaster, also big on all-timers, and also the former Georgia Tech star and Decatur star from Georgia. Our guest today on Sports Biography. Now for Coach Frank Broyles, Mike Harrison saying so long on the CSN Television Network.